Good morning, guys. Welcome to the pre-market video for equity guys here. Today is the 23rd of July. My name is Chirag, NISM certified technical analyst, and let's get into the view for the day. Looking at how Nifty closed yesterday, we see that Nifty closed around 0.12% yesterday, and Bank Nifty about 0.35% lower yesterday, and Sensex with just 0.02 percent negative yesterday. Seeing what happened, we did see that in the 5 minute time frame that when it closed below the 15-minute candle, there was a huge sell off there. A little bit of recovery did come out here, but we did close near the day low, which was what the view was for yesterday. So let's see what is happening today. Today we see that the gap between Nifty futures and Nifty index is trading at a premium of 35 points, whereas Bank Nifty futures and the Bank Nifty index is trading at a premium of actually minus 6 points, so on the negative side. So we see that is bearish in nature, but Nifty is bullish in nature there. India VIX is yeah, India VIX is down about 4%, which is extremely bullish for the Indian markets. So that should be an indicator for some of the upside for today. Looking at the other data, we see crude oil has fallen again to 56.46 levels, which is extremely good for the Indian markets. That is also showing something on the upside for the Indian markets there. Looking at how gift nifty is acting today, we see that there's a 58 point gap up here. Seeing a 58 point gap up here, that is going to be definitely positive for the Indian markets. So let's see if the gap up will sustain, or what will happen later on. Again, Nifty Bs is down 0.07%, and then Bank Bs is down 0.27%. Gold Bs is up 0.77%, Silver Bs is up 0.8%, and that is what the data from Kite is looking like so far. Moving on to the option chain, we see that 0.71 levels for the PCR in Nifty 50 and 0.74 levels in Bank Nifty. A little bit on the oversold levels itself, so there could be possibilities of V-shaped markets, but again, slightly leaning towards the neutral side too, not completely oversold. Moving on to the sectoral indices, we see selling in all the sectoral indices except for internet economy here. So this is definitely bearish in nature and not good for the Indian markets here. Looking at NSE, we see that it's also bearish in nature, with declines being at 1600 to 73 levels, and advances only being at 1279 levels. FIDI data, okay, we can see that there's huge selling from FIs in the cash market, almost 3000 crores there, and DII is matching it and going a little bit over with 5000 crores. But in the FNO market, again, in index futures, you see a lot of selling here, and in stock futures, a lot of selling. Overall, we see a huge amount of selling from the FIIs in the market. If the markets need to keep going up the way it has to go up, you have to see a lot of changes from the FIIs. They need to start buying in the markets, and that is what will cause it to start going up. Moving on to the advanced decline ratios, we see that there's 18 advances and 32 declines in Nifty, whereas in Bank Nifty there's only about 2 advances and 10 declines. And looking at the sectors in Nifty 50, again, a lot of neutral sectors in Nifty 50, which is not at all good. Looking more on the negative side for both Nifty and Bank Nifty, definitely bearish in nature. So looking at the option chain, we see that in puts there is quite a bit of buying in the money puts, which is the shaded region on the right hand side. But in out of the money puts, there's some selling, and out of the money calls and out of the money puts, I'm saying in the money calls, you see a lot of selling there too. So there's definitely bearish in the option chain. And looking at the ranges from the option chain, we see 2500 levels being an important level, and anywhere in the ranges of 2500 to 150 is where we're looking at as the important range for the entire market, because that's where the most amount of volumes are, both on the calls and put side here. Moving on to the global indices, we see that the US markets again close quite neutral, with Dow Jones being positive of 0.4%, S&P 500 being fairly neutral, and Nasdaq closing negative 0.4% here. Then looking at the European markets, we see DAX is almost minus 1%, CAX is minus 0.69%, whereas FTSE closed positive 1.2%. So overall negative on the European front. And looking at the Asian markets, Nikkei up extremely positive of about 2.5%, Kospi up positive about 0.1%, and Hang Seng not yet open but closed 0.5% overall there. So extremely positive data in the Asian markets. Looking at Indian ADRs, we see that Infosys is being bought, but other key stocks like Wipro, ICICI Bank are seeing a lot of selling. Dr. Reddy is also seeing a lot of selling here. So I would say that the Indian ADRs are definitely showing a lot of negative data here, a lot of bearish data here. Not at all good for the Indian markets. They need to be buying in these stocks to see the market move to higher levels. Finally, moving on to the real-time stock index futures, we see that the US futures is closing extremely positive, which is bullish for us, because it is always good if the US stock futures are always on the upper side. So today we can see that the view for today is possibly consolidation. There could be more consolidation, but if there is a breakout on R1, we can see extreme rallies that can happen, right? But it does look like a consolidation day to day. Moving into the technicals of what it is, we see that the levels is moving up from here with the gap up. If this does sustain, then we can see that from the 0.18 levels, it could move up, which is very good, because there's no necessity that the third wave has to complete. But if the third wave was to complete, it would actually come down to that 0.7 levels here in Fib retracement. So let's see if this can actually sustain, but today might be a consolidation day. If there is a possible breakout on the upside, we can definitely see levels like 25 200 levels to 250 levels come up. But if it's on the downside, we're definitely looking at that levels of 25 470 levels is what we're looking at here. Overall, again, trade your setup, guys. Trade whatever you have to trade properly, and make sure you're trading one index.